So my name's Stuart Kestenbaum, and I'm the interim president at Maine College of Art, which means by the time your student enrolls at MECA, I'll be back on Deer Isle, but I'll remember this day. So I've been here since August, and I have a kind of insider-outsider perspective because I'm part of the college. I can attest to what a wonderful institution it is. I can see the care and attention to detail that everybody who works here places on their work. The individual attention that students get here, I think, is really remarkable. So it's a very exciting time for the college because we've begun a number of new programs, and I'm going to make a list. And if you make a list, you know what's going to happen is you'll always forget something on the list. But here I go. So we have a new art and music program, which you may have seen on your tour downstairs. We have a textile and fashion design program, which was recently added, and next fall we're adding a new documentary studies program, the SALT Institute. So the college is really growing in really strategic ways, and ways that really engage different communities and make a very exciting place. As an outsider, in my former life as director of the Haystack Mountain School of Crafts, the opportunity to visit many colleges, art programs. I've seen a lot of art schools, and when you walk this Porteous Mitchell and Braun department store, when you go to all the floors and see what exists in terms of studios, I think for an undergraduate program, it's really phenomenal, the strength of the studios here, all in one big space, and it's really incredible. The other thing I think is that people who come here get an amazing education. We have a threefold nature of our core values, which include artistic excellence, and community engagement, and being entrepreneurial in how you think about how you can do your work. I think a testament to that was this year you might be familiar with the United States Artists Fellowships. It's a program, there are 50 fellowships that are given in the country to outstanding artists. It's probably the leading visual arts fellowship program in the United States. So there are only 50 that were given out, and 3 of those went to people from MECA. Vivian Beer, who was an undergrad at MECA in the last decade, and Lauren Fensterstock, who was on the faculty here and ran the ICA, our Institute of Contemporary Art, and Anna Hepler, who was also a visiting artist here. So I think we're really bringing the best people in and the best people graduating. So it's really a phenomenal institution that really pays attention to the quality of what happens to students. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ian Anderson, who is the Dean of Students, who will give you a good sense of what really goes on here, because I only have to remember just as much as I learned in August through June. Then I graduate, a one-year program for me. Ian.
So I'm Ian Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Academic Affairs and Dean of the College here at Maine College of Art. I've been here 11 years, the longest I've ever been anywhere in my entire life. And just want to go over, I'll talk a little bit about why you might be choosing an art school, then I'll talk specifically about some of the things that make Maine College of Art unique. Stu talked about our core values already, and our mission is a very straightforward one: to educate artists for life. We produce all types of creative professionals. Those that are, some that work as creative professionals, others as creative entrepreneurs. They leave and start their own businesses and so forth. There are, of course, other folks that want to do arts for art's sake. Others that want to engage in what we call public engagement. You might be familiar with the term service learning, but there are many artists now that think of the community as their studio, and part of their practice is actually going out into the community and creating projects in art that otherwise wouldn't have been invented if not partnering with working with a community partner. We all know that creativity is important. Everyone's creative. Some people say, I don't have a creative bone in my body. Probably not true. We know that some people are more creative than others. We believe that Art College is a great place to become a more creative person, to become a better creative practitioner. And as Jessica's going to talk about, we don't know what the jobs of the future are, but one thing that's clear for us is that the need for creativity continues to rise in our culture. Stu mentioned some of the new developments that are happening here. We're really excited about those, the textile and fashion design program, the new music program. As far as we know, we're the only art design school where you can do a minor in music inside of a broader degree of art and design. That program is still in the experimental phases. Would love to talk to you guys about it if you have any questions about it later. It's been really exciting for us. So now I want to shift a little bit and talk a little bit about what makes Maine College of Art unique. And the first thing to make sure we're on the same page is that these are the degrees that we offer here at Maine College of Art. And most of you are probably here to talk about the Bachelor of Fine Arts. But we also offer an MAT, which is a 10-month art education intensive. They start in August, and they sweat all the way through to the very beginning of May. And then the MFA, the Master of Fine Arts. The Master of Fine Arts is the terminal degree in the fine arts. There's no PhD right now in the continental United States. Well, there is a PhD, but the PhD is not the terminal degree in the fine arts right now in the continental U.S. We also have a pre-college program for those of you that might have sons or daughters that are sophomores and juniors in high school. About 75 students come here every year and do a 3-week intensive. They get 3 college credits, and they have a college experience before ever going to college. So something to look into if that's something that might be of interest to you. And a continuing education program. People from the community come here and take classes as well. So we have 11 majors, 500 students, 11 majors. It's pretty amazing. And we have 5 minors. And one of the things that we're committed to around our minors, this isn't just like a kind of a sprinkling of classes. You can't just take 4 of something or 5 of something and get a minor. These are like little sub-majors in and of their own right. They have core classes that are required, and then each of these has a capstone experience that's required at the end. So the students have to do a specific presentation. And we always have minors in areas in where we don't have majors. That's our philosophy so far. We're 500 students, approximately, Maine College of Art. Most of our students are in the Bachelor of Fine Arts, as you can see here. We're called Maine College of Art, but we're really an art and design college. In fact, this number this year is going to be between 45 and 50%. So every year, and then increasingly, more of our students are graduating in the design fields: graphic design, illustration, digital media, and textile and fashion design. So when I use the word art, and when we use the word art here today, we mean it in the most broad sense. What is a Bachelor of Fine Arts? Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. A Bachelor of Fine Arts is considered the professional degree in the United States. It differs from a Bachelor of Arts in regards to the intensity of the studio practice that the student has to do. So in a Bachelor of Fine Arts, about 2/3 of all your 120 credits take place in what we refer to as a studio course inside of your chosen discipline. All right? But it's still a baccalaureate. So you can't come to Maine College of Art and not take a science class or a math class. You've got to take English, art history. You've got to take liberal arts. And as you'll see in my presentation, that's a really important component to any artist and designer. And so about 64% studio, 36% of those credits are in humanities. So what do we expect at Maine College of Art? I often like to say that I'm in the transformation business. I get to speak to students on the first day of school, orientation. You know, everyone's all crazy and nervous, and so am I. And then I get to call their names out when they walk across the stage 4 years later. And I can assure you there are different people when they walk across the stage 4 years later. And that's, I feel really lucky I get to do that. But how do we do it? Well, first of all, we have a specific educational philosophy, which consists of these 5 points. Everything we do here is grounded in studio practice. And what I mean by studio practice is a set of skills, a way of doing research, a way of gathering knowledge that enables you to move forward in a really thorough and thoughtful way, no matter what your practice is. So your sons and daughter may have a studio already. That may be they may lock you out of their bedroom. That may be their studio. Maybe they have a place in the basement, like I did as a teenager. Maybe they do all their work on the computer. So like an illustrator or graphic designer may have most of their studio on their digital device. But a studio practice is core to everything we do here in Art and Design School at Maine College of Art. Second, we want our students to have agency, not like the FBI or the CIA, well, that would be fine too. We want them to take their creative capacities and their skills and use them out into the world. And that's the whole part of being here. The mark of our school was actually designed by our students over a 2 or 3 day charrette. So this is the sign you saw when you walked into the building. If you missed it, look backwards when you walk out today. Our mark was designed by students, and we're really proud of that. These students using their creative talents to make a mark for a private art and design school. We're really proud of that fact. The second place, Maine College of Art is a really interestingly positioned in a city that loves art, that loves food, that loves coffee. It's like 15 different coffee shops from the front of the door if you're a coffee nerd. But it's also conjoined with one of the most beautiful natural landscapes in my opinion, in North America. So that contrast has an effect on what our students make and do. Being a school of 500, a community is really important to us. These are some students enjoying waffles. Every day I have waffles at my house for Maine College of Art students. No, that's not true. Definitely not true. But everyone talks about the community aspect of being at Maine College of Art. And our students can tell you more about that later. And then finally, being a four-year school, we believe there's an ethical framework that all our students need to be thinking about as they make their way through the world. And that's different for every student, but this is an important thing for our students to learn and think about. We take that educational philosophy and apply it in a very specific four-year structure. The first year is a foundation year, so all the students come in and get a core set of skills in 2D design, 3D design, digital imaging, drawing, but also English and art history, because the capacity to be able to write and to articulate your ideas is really important for an artist or designer's future success. In the second year, we think of as an expansion year, and most schools don't do this, and we're unique in that way. In the second year, we encourage students to try a number of different things, even if they know they want to be an illustration student or a photography student. And we find that this impacts sometimes the major they choose, but then often the work they create as juniors and seniors by the time that they graduate. And then in the third year, this is the convergence year. Every student at Maine College of Art gets a studio. That's a unique attribute as well. And then they're in a course of study where they're learning about the idiosyncrasies of that particular area. So if you're a graphic designer, you're learning about professional graphic design practice, history, and so forth. In the final year, this is what every senior looks like all throughout their fourth year. They're calm, they're collected, they're not worried about graduation, they're getting ready for their capstone show, and it's a beautiful thing. But in all seriousness, at the end of the semester next year, every student will display their work, every senior will display their work throughout the building. And all three floors become a three-floor gallery. And it's absolutely amazing the work that our seniors produce. And then finally, we have an approach that puts artists and designers at the center of everything that we do. That is why Maine College of Arts exists. We do art. We say 24/7, but that's all the institution does all the time. We believe we're all educators, so you'll meet a number of staff today. They think of themselves as educators, the facilities crew, the billing office, the registrar's office. And we believe that everything is the curriculum. So when we build out spaces, we think how those spaces are going to affect the curricular experience, how the residence halls affect the curricular experience of our students, and so forth. So I don't know if you guys know this, but you know that time management is like one of the highest indicators of student success in college, right? Doesn't matter what school you go to. Your capacity to manage your time as a student is statistically a very positive indicator of whether you're going to survive your first year of school. Well, so this is a time management exercise at Maine College of Art. These students were all assigned to track their time, 30 minutes at a time for 7 days. So this is a time management pizza. This is a time management sculpture. And so I'm just using this to illustrate the way that we use art and design skills to experientially embed knowledge in our students. This is an assignment that I did in one of my classes. Every student here gets a mentor when they first arrive. A faculty mentor is their FYN instructor. And then either throughout that semester or the next semester, they hopefully shed that mentor and find a new one. So every student on campus has a faculty mentor. Some of them are stuck with me. I feel bad for them. And then another unique thing we do, I talked about public engagement. These students are making cold frames. They came here first semester. They're making cold frames for a community partner called Cultivating Community. They provide healthy food for food-needy populations in Portland, right here on the peninsula. And so these students came in and used their creative skills to impact people's lives in the first semester of college. I think that's really, really powerful and unique experience. We're going to ignore the fact we need some safety training around using the drill there, but they are first-year students. And you know, at art college, we don't really consider a drill to be that dangerous. We got bigger, more dangerous machines. The other thing about being a successful artist and designer is that you have to have input to have output. There's a common mythology that exists out there that says, oh, a creative person gets to kind of sit in their studio and produce amazing work for the rest of their life. That's completely opposite to what the reality is. The reality is you have to be a curious investigator, and whether you're working in typography, game design, or you're a painter. And we actually teach students how to be curious in that manner. I'll give you an example of a class that we do that. So input equals output. This is a class called War of the Worlds, and where students have to make a fake town based off of the most average town in America, which apparently is Muncie, Indiana. They spend the first third of the class making this fake town. It's a lot of fun, you can tell. That's how much fun it is. Usually gets more laughs than that, but that's okay. And then what they do, the way this class works, is they use that town as their research site to make their art, right? And they can make, that's my son getting ready to story the town in his frog costume. I just couldn't resist putting that in there. David's with us today, so I thought honor that some kids are with us. This is Philip Brew, the faculty member. This is what the town looks like. And then students create work based off that town. And that's a lot of what art and design is about, taking information, being inspired by things around you. And this is more what we think of as a research-based methodology. And so students do architectural experiments, painting and printmaking experiments. This student did a performance art piece where she stood up in the middle of school and she became this character called Bridget LeClaire. She's not Hinch, that's a wig. And then other students do photography or film based on that as a site. So again, just like with the time management exercise, we have whole classes where we go through and robustly make students internalize this process for themselves. And then I want to end just with showing you some recent senior work. And I've highlighted pieces that often show students working in multiple disciplines. Because the last thing that I'll say is unique about what we do. Certainly we have those 11 majors, but our curriculum is designed in a very specific way. So if you're a graphic design student and you're really interested in printmaking, you can take a printmaking course and apply that to your major. And a lot of schools don't allow for that kind of fluidity. So this is a graphic design student who did an installation at an art space just down the street. This is a student who has is interested in kind of political work. As an illustrator, typically you're doing client-based work, but this student is doing their own body of work based on their own interests. This is a painting student, not a sculptor student, doing contemporary sculpture. A lot of our students really interested right now in portraiture. I've seen a resurgence recently around the interest in portraiture, but doing it in innovative and interesting ways. A graphic design student using printmaking techniques to do logo design. Illustration students that are making paintings. This is a student named Liz Long. Ceramic students that are doing sculpture. And our textile and fashion design program, which is it's an extremely unique program where the students not only creating garments for the body, but they actually create the material, create and print the material that they're making the garments from. So there are not very many other programs like that in the world. So I always get in trouble between skirt and dress. This skirt was all knitted here on campus. And then, of course, we have students that are interfacing with and creating with the newest format in terms of phones and watches. And then at the same time, working on apps, but at the same time, again, working with the centuries-old tradition of portraiture. This is a photography student, and this is graphite, actually, on paper. So it's an amazing technical facility. And it, yeah. So to wrap it up, we teach how to craft ideas and solve problems by honing students' technical skills. That's the studio part. Imparting critical, historical, and cultural perspectives, and employing high visual acumen. And the next thing I want to do is introduce Jessica Tomlinson. She's the director of Artists at Work. And if you remember, I talked about the educational philosophy, and that second component of that philosophy being agency. She's going to talk about all the things that we do to inspire agency in our students. All right? Thank you for your time, and I'll see you more later.
Thanks, Ian. I'm Jessica Tomlinson. I'm the director of Artists at Work here. Welcome. I know Sophia's mom went to art school. How many other moms went to art school? How many other dads went to art school? Wow! This is my biggest art school parent crowd yet. This is exciting. Legacy students, generations of artists. This is great. Well, you know what to expect in art school and what happens afterwards. So if you want to chime in later about questions, that's great. We have about 6 other parents here who have been to art school and know what does it mean to live life as an artist. So for the others in the room, this is for you. Okay. So this is the statistic that drives the work that I do as the Director of Artists at Work, which is this great unknown that is happening in the workforce, which is the jobs that we all knew, the day of having the same job for 40 years and getting that gold watch, that's kind of done. And so there's a lot of uncertainty, and for some people, that's scary. For us, it's really exciting. Why? Because the skills that are needed for a new economy are exactly what we teach in art school. That idea about problem solving and being innovative and flexible and understanding feedback, that's what we do here. We just happen to teach it through the arts. And it's important to know that this knowledge can be applied to a variety of fields. We just happen to teach it through the arts. This photograph right here is one of our alums. He's at the Kohler Arts and Industry Residency. So you all know Kohler because they have made a porcelain object in your home, your choice. Sink, toilet, tub, you name it, they made it. And so they invite artists to come into their facility because they believe that artists have ideas that they haven't even thought of yet. So they bring them in and allow them to have access to the studio to inspire them. They pay them to be there to make their own work and support them so they can be a better company and be more innovative. So through our Artists at Work program, we're really helping our students and our alums get those skills and opportunities and experience they need while they're here at school, as well as when they leave here. And that comes in a variety of ways. One of them is classes. So there are required classes. Every student needs to learn public engagement, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And they need to learn professional practices, which is really important. So our professional studio practice, which is a required class, talking about all those things, for those of you who went to art school maybe 20, 25 years ago, you'll say, wait a minute, they didn't teach me that in art school. And art school has changed, and there's an awareness that these are critical skills. Just as important as how to make a great weld or how to throw a great pot, you need to know how to manage your finances. You need to understand marketing. You need to understand your business plan. So we're really interested in providing that professional development for our students and graduates, from workshops for artists understanding business, to working with entrepreneurs throughout the state, to our professional, we have a day when we bring in professionals from around Maine to look at students' portfolios and give them feedback about what they might need. We also think it's important for students to understand grant writing while they're in school, so we give grants to support professional development and creative entrepreneurship endeavors, and they're $500 each. And students apply, they need to put together a budget, they need to put together a proposal, they need to make a case for support. These two students, one is a fashion and textile design student who got a grant because she wanted to be a tailor, and she wanted to know how to set up her business as a tailor. And so we gave her a grant to actually have a mentor who would guide her about how to set up her business as a tailor. This is Sophie, and so Sophie is an illustrator, and she wanted to go to the annual Illustrators Conference in Texas, where all the professionals go to network. And so what was great is we were able to give her money that allowed her to participate and be on an equal playing field with her faculty members who were there as creative professionals and understand what is happening in the field of illustration. We're really lucky to have a very supportive arts community here in Portland, Maine. This is an example of a business. This was the former Portland Press Herald. The building there is where the newspaper was, and it was turned into a boutique hotel. So they called the college and said, we want your help. We want to transform into a really unique business, and the way to do that and to differentiate ourselves is through artwork. So not only did they buy $25,000 worth of MECA artwork, but they also worked with our students to design this furniture, which was outside for a pop-up park that they created. So students work with our faculty member, Matt Hutchins, and so they were able to learn, have that kind of instruction. What is it like to work with a client? How do we start from scratch, design, and execute a project? So not only did they get academic credit for this, but they were also paid. So this is a great example of artists at work. I'm showing you beer, not because it's actually a beer drinking kind of crowd that we have here. Parents always ask, what do students do for fun? They actually are in the studio doing that all the time. That's fun. But this beer is a great example of a business that understands the importance of design and packaging. So they hold a contest, and the best design wins $5,000 cash. It's a great way for students to understand how their talents can be applied in the world. Our job board, we encourage, not only encourage, it's actually required on orientation day for students to sign up for the job board, to understand what it means to see all the jobs that are coming through over the 4 years, to see what's available and out there. We do this on orientation day, not graduation day. Internships are a really exciting part of Artists at Work. Because of our intimate scale, we are able to provide a level of individual attention that other places can't. It's one of the luxuries that we do have. And so we work with each and every student to identify the opportunity that's going to be right for them. So this is a long list because what we do is meet with your student to say, you're a printmaking student, what is of interest to you? And someone might say, I'm interested in being in California when I graduate. I'd like to go this summer and have an internship, and that's what we'll work with. Somebody else might say, I want to be doing commercial photography back in my hometown. I know mom and dad want to hear that, right? That they're going to come home in the summer and be with you again. So we can do that. We can arrange internships in the summer in their hometown as well. So we're really able to provide a custom experience for those students. We give them opportunities for commerce. Last weekend we had our holiday sale here where our alums earned over $100,000 in a 2-day sale. We have a First Friday Art Walk. It was another opportunity for students to be selling their work. We have exhibition opportunities. This is a Craft Boston, which is a craft show in the Boston area where professionals come and display their work. And so it's a great opportunity. These are the woodworking and furniture design students that actually built this display, personally carted it down to Boston, staffed this exhibition, and then sold their work there on site. And it's a great opportunity. You have to be usually a professional with many years in the field to be able to do this as a student is a wonderful opportunity. I mentioned public engagement earlier, and Ian did as well. It's a minor here at the college, which is actually a little unusual. Most folks aren't looking at public engagement, social practice, and service learning till later. We believe it's a core piece of being an artist and a citizen. And through our public engagement program, our students are partnering with community organizations to do creative problem solving together. And so this is a partnership that was with the Island Institute, and these were freshmen that were looking at the impact of climate change on the island communities of Maine. So they're traveling up and down the coast and saying, how does that affect you? And when they got those answers, they were able to use the skills that were important to them, whatever medium. And so it could be photography, it could be bookmaking, it could be painting, and they made work in response. And then they were able to exhibit that work on campus that was on view during First Friday, so thousands of people were able to come through. There was actually media coverage, there was a newspaper article, and it's a great example about how artists can bring attention and awareness on a social issue in a way that's very different from other people talking about the problem. This is an example. Sarah is a public engagement minor here at the college, and in that role, she actually has a paid fellowship to work on social justice projects. She has the Trash Talkers group, which is a student group that she leads talking about sustainability. And for her project, she organized a climate change rally. And I love looking at this photo because you can see what happens when artists organize protests. It's all really nicely designed signs. Really well done. So what do you do with your degree? So our alumni, 67% are working as professional artists, which is really important because the national average is 56%. And in that, they are doing everything from working as art educators, fine artists, working in the nonprofit sector, working as craft artists, working as designers and illustrators. An important figure here is that 91% continue to make art in their personal time. This is just a sampling of some of the careers that our alumni have. My favorite is the Director for Massive Change. It's a great example of job titles that did not exist 20 years ago. I can't wait to see what the job titles look 20 years from now. And these are some of our graduates. Ahmed graduated with a degree in painting, went on to graduate school, and has found success as a painter. And he actually represented the U.S. in the, he was representing where he's from in Iraq in the Venice Biennale. That allowed him to kind of catapult to a fame so that his paintings now sell for $500,000 a piece. That's one way of being in the world. The other way is being an entrepreneur in a different way. John Nelson graduated with a degree in sculpture and literally right after graduation hung a shingle that he made out of sculpture, very nice, and Nelson Metal Fabrication. And John has been working full-time since he graduated with his business, has actually expanded, has hired another alum, and then also brings on interns. And so when I showed you that press hotel, a great example is they wanted to create unique furniture in there. So they asked who could do that. So I said John. So John was able to go in there and work with another alum, a woodworker, and they were able to create custom furniture specifically for that hotel. It's a great example and a reminder that the world around us is increasingly touched by art and design, and it is a differentiator. And so when people want something that's going to get attention, hiring an artist is the best way to go. And that's the favorite part of my job all day. I need to be great, so can I have one of your artists? That's my day. David Hutchins graduated from graphic design in '87 when computers were the size of this podium. Has gone on to become an animator at Disney Studios and talked about the importance of the foundation education that he got here, and that as technology continued to change, it was easy to learn new technology, but the core skills that he got as an art student here was how to think. Elise Bothell came here and got her undergraduate degree and then went on to our master's program where she got her art ed certification and is a teacher. Matt Moore, excited, he was here in Maine as a student in graphic design and then has actually been living abroad, working internationally for companies such as Ray-Ban, Nike. He has his own shoe, it's kind of great. He's worked for Mini Cooper, Coca-Cola. He just this past month moved back to Portland. What's great is he's able to run his design business internationally and operate from here. Brian Wilk graduated with a degree in printmaking, went on to get his MBA, and is actually a trustee of the college now, but his role is the vice president of design for Hasbro, and we're lucky to have some interns at Hasbro learning the toy making business. For those of you who have followed Ellen DeGeneres' design challenge, Vivian Beer is one of our graduates. She won that $100,000 challenge, very excited for her, and also won the USA Artist $50,000 fellowship this year. Seth Goldenberg graduated from our MFA program, and he's the CEO of his own company, Epic Decade. And what they do is they help companies strategize and look at vision and creative problem solving. Again, so his product is not something that you're going to buy in a store. It's not a ceramic mug, it's not a piece of furniture, but it's how to think differently. That is his product. Abby Masso is a recent graduate who graduated from MECA last year with a degree in illustration, and she works as a software illustrator. For those of you with young people, I think there's someone in here playing on a device. So on all of those games, someone needs to be designing them, and so that is what Abby is doing. So another example of games that, careers that didn't exist before. So that's just a sampling of some of the things that our graduates do. For those of you who are remaining in Portland for the rest of the day, I would highly encourage you to go next door. We have many alums who are opening their studios. This building, here I'm going to point it out. This is MECA. It's right next door. This is Space Gallery. And above here are 50 artist studios. I like to joke and call it our 5th year building. And so many of our graduates like to remain in the area and keep a studio practice. And so what they do is they have studios there. So if you're around from 5 till 8 tonight, it's a great opportunity to learn more about what our alumni are doing by visiting their studios in their natural habitat, the studio environment.